abroad for the last 40 years. And today I have my special guest. He's a fractional CFO, Harvard MBA, scaled three companies up to 100 million plus dollars. And of course, no other than Mr. Nick Jain.
Thank you so much for having me on your show, Daniel. I'm really excited to be here.
Welcome, Mr. Nick on Book One Review. And can you please introduce more about yourself that I miss?
Sure. So my name's Nick, based in Philadelphia. I have grown up now in three countries: India, Canada, and the United States. My education, I studied theoretical math and physics, but then for the past 20 years, I've been in the world of business, starting off in private equity as a professional investor at Bain Capital. And then for the last 5 or 6 years, people or companies have hired me to fix them when they run into big challenges. So I've been the CEO or CFO of three different companies, ranging from a $10 million software company to a $100 million revenue trucking company. I enjoy playing poker in my free time, and I read a ton. So I'm excited to be on the Book 101 podcast.
Yes, and thank you so much for sharing your knowledge and wisdom to the world. Thank you. And today let's talk about why most small businesses are flying blind on cash flow and how to fix it. The metaphor of flying blind is a powerful. For a passionate small business owner, what is the most common psychological or emotional block that keeps them from looking squarely at their cash flow dashboard?
Sure. So I think for a lot of small businesses, and this could be 30, 40, $50 million revenue businesses, the owners, the founders, the executives, the families that own them, they are so focused on running the business day to day, whether that means selling a new or selling to their customers, whether it be making their product, whether it be managing their internal staff, that they don't have the time or effort or skills to sit back and look at the numbers from an analytical point of view. It's just they're busy doing all the day-to-day stuff. They can't zoom out. And I think that's something that becomes a real challenge, because for any well-run business, once in a while, you need to have someone zoom out a little bit and think about, okay, how is the business doing overall? Let's do some math and analysis and figure out how the business is going to do in the future.
Indeed. Is the problem of lack of data or lack of understanding what data matters? Do most owners have the numbers but not how to read a story they are telling?
Yeah, so most small businesses actually do have the data that they need to make good decisions. So it's not that they don't have the information. It's really two things. One of which you said is they don't have the skills to think about what do these numbers mean, right? Just like art is a talent, just like painting is a talent, just like writing a book is a talent, understanding business numbers is a talent and skill. And so, number one, you need to have someone who has that talent and skill at being really good at the analysis of business. But then the second thing that, as I mentioned, that's missing in a lot of small businesses is people are so focused on all the day-to-day operations of running a business that they don't think about, okay, it's time to think about the business, not just run the business.
Think the business, people, not just to run. Many owners confuse profit with cash flow. Can you give us a clear, jarring example of how a business can be profitable on paper while heading straight for a cash crisis?
Sure. So there's two big things that I think a lot of businesses or three big things that people screw up on cash versus profitability. Firstly, profit is an accounting standard, and it varies a little bit country to country, but accounting profit is not the same as cash flow. So that's number one, because accounting profit can include these non-cash items called depreciation, amortization, a couple other non-cash items. That's number one. That mathematically cash is not equal to profit for anything but the smallest of businesses. Number two is that a lot of businesses have what's called working capital. So think if you are a let's say a store, you're selling groceries, right? You have to go buy bread and milk and that before you sell it to your customers. That's called working capital, and working capital eats up money. So you can be profitable because you're selling each loaf of bread profitably, but you had to buy so much bread to sit in your warehouse or on your shelves that you lost money for a month. So that's number two. A lot of businesses don't think about working capital effectively. And number three are what's called non-operating cash flows. So your profit is how much money you made this month from doing whatever you do, selling bread, making cars, whatever. However, in order to build your business, you may have had to borrow some money from investors or from banks, and you have to pay that back once in a while. So when you pay your bank back, that doesn't hurt your profits, but it does hurt your cash flows. So any good operator of businesses who really understands cash flows does those three adjustments. They adjust for non-cash items, they think about working capital, and then they think about what's called investing cash or cash flows from financing, which is paying your investors and paying your bankers.
Very well said, Mr. Nick. Very well said indeed. So let's talk about the systems. It's flying blind more often a result of not having a bookkeeper, having a bad one, or simply not talking to one they have.
So I don't think it's actually related to having a bookkeeper or not, right? Lots of businesses have bookkeepers in place, but that's very different than understanding the business. A bookkeeper or accountant's job, what they're being paid to do is record what happened in the past, like what happened yesterday, what happened last week, what happened last month, last year. So they're always backwards looking, and that's what they're paid to do, accurately record what happened in the past. And the greatest bookkeeper, greatest accountant, if they're doing their job perfectly, they perfectly recorded what happened yesterday and last week or last month. However, the ability to look forward and think about the future is very different than bookkeeping or accounting, and I think that's what a lot of small businesses mess up. They think that finance is about accounting, when in fact a good finance team or good executive, CFO, whatever it is not doing accounting to look at the past, but the accounting creates the data set that they need in order to look into the future.
So, Mr. Nick, let's talk about these critical metrics. What do you actually look at? If you could force a business owner to look at only two or three cash flow metrics in every single week, what would they be and why?
Sure. Those businesses, the metrics would differ between businesses, by the way, because a software business doesn't have inventory, but a grocery business or a clothing retailer does have inventory. So you have to think about different metrics for different types of businesses. But I'll try and give two or three metrics that I think would apply to everyone. Number one, what is your profit to cash conversion rate? So take your operating cash flow, divide it by your net income, and what's that rate? And ideally, it should be close, depending on the type of business, but it really should be north of 80%. Otherwise, you're losing money along the way. Not all your profits are becoming cash. So that's number one. Number two is what is your cash flow relative to the amount of invested capital in the business? So if you have $100 invested in the business, and every month you're putting out $1 of cash, then over the year you're putting out $12 of cash for a business that invested $100. So you're making a 12% return on your capital, and that's really important for your investors. Your investor could be your mom, it could be a banker, it could be a venture capitalist, but that's really important. And then the third is thinking about there's three types of cash flows. There's operating cash flows, there's investing cash flows, and financing cash flows. And you have to, how are those three numbers interacting with each other? And they differ based on where in your business life cycle you are, whether you're growing really rapidly or whether you're at a mature business. But those three numbers you have to look at very carefully almost every single month, I would say.
Mr. Nick, beyond the basics, what's one leading indicator of a future cash flow crowns the most owners miss until too late?
Margins are decreasing. So if your profit margins as a percentage are going down, people kind of say, okay, maybe it was a bad month, but if it's been happening a couple months in a row, that really means that you're going to have a cash flow crisis, probably not too far in the future.
Mhm. So, how should a service based business owner's cash flow dashboard look like fundamentally differ from that of a product based business with inventory?
Sure. So a service-based business is primarily the product that they're selling, the service that they're selling is human labor, hourly labor, right? People doing work, whether that be painting pictures or stacking boxes or doing consulting. So for a services-based business, the two most important things that they want to typically look at are utilization rate, like what percent of the salaries are working on client-facing projects that make money, Number one. And number two, what is their average billing rate? So if they have somebody working 2,000 hours, on average, how much are they being paid per hour of work? So those are the two things that would be important for a services based business. For a product based business, I think the two most important things would be number one, gross margin. How much profit are they generating per item that they sell on a percentage basis? Are they making a 10% profit, a 20% profit? And number two, what is the capital intensity? How much inventory do they need to have in hand or capital invested in the business to be able to sell the products that they're making?
Let's talk about the fixes and the proactive control and strategy, Mr. Nick. The first fix is often behavioral. What is the simplest, non negotiable cash flow habit you prescribe the biggest immediate impact?
Stop spending on stupid things. So lots of businesses signed up for various software subscriptions or products or memberships that they just forgot about. Somebody signed up for it 4 or 5 years ago. So
Hmm.
you'll find in almost any business, big or small, there's just obvious areas to save money by cutting costs that people are, for stuff that people don't use, don't even want. So that's the quickest way. Almost any business will have that.
Mm, definitely. Stop that one, people. Stop it. So let's talk about the cash flow reforecasting. For the spreadsheet phobic owner, what is the minimal viable version? Is it looking 13 weeks out, 90 days, or just next month's bills?
For the spreadsheet scared owner, drop your numbers into ChatGPT and ask it to tell you what your cash flows are going to be in 13 weeks, or Gemini, or a Claude, or any whatever your favorite AI is. That's going to be
Hmm.
good enough for somebody who's really scared of doing numbers. That being said, if you're scared of doing numbers, my advice is go hire someone who's good at it, because ChatGPT will
That's
only get you so far.
definitely. So, what is the most underutilized negotiation lever for improving cash flow? Is it with the suppliers, with the customers, or with the bank?
Usually not with the bank, because debt is not going to change the how you finance your business, whether it be debt or equity, is not going to change the fundamentals of the business. Usually it's with customers, because customer, usually for most businesses, supply is a commodity product. It could be labor, the cost of people, their salaries, or it could be the raw materials. Let's say the milk that goes into your cheese. Those tend to be reasonably fixed costs as a or on very commoditized products that there's not a lot of negotiation to do because they're bought in bulk. On the pricing side, there's usually a lot of opportunity to move prices around because some customers are getting way too good deals and you haven't increased prices on them for years and years because you've forgotten to or you felt uncomfortable to. Um, so I think people underestimate how much room there is to make your prices bigger on average, because they're afraid of talking to their customers about it.
Mm. So, how can a small business owner, particularly de-risk their client base to prevent one late or lost payment from causing the catastrophic? Is it about diversification, payment terms, or something else?
Well, it's literally what you said, diversification. Look, if you have a business where one customer, losing one customer or one customer not paying destroys your business, you don't have a business.
Hmm.
That's not a real business. You're basically betting everything. They have a business and you're there like as an employee of the business, right? If you're working for a company and it goes bankrupt, it screws you. That if you're running a business where you're so dependent on one customer, you don't have a real business. So it is important that if you're really trying to run a business, you need to have a diversified revenue base, meaning you need to have many customers and not too much
Hmm.
customer concentration.
So, what's your stance on using debt or credit as a tool of managing cash flow? When is it a strategic lever and when it is warning sign for a deeper problem?
Sure. So if you are borrowing money, so debt can be good or bad. Debt is not
Yes.
inherently bad. People are often scared of borrowing money. Debt is bad when you're using it to cover the fact that you're losing money operationally. Okay,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
that's using debt badly. Using debt well is if you are using it to invest for projects that will make more money in the future. So don't borrow because you're losing money today. Borrow because you want to make more money in the future.
Interesting. Yes, definitely. So, as a fractional CFO, Harvard MBA, and scaled three companies, what are your short term and long term goals?
Sure. So for me and my business partner Dan, right now we are building Eagle Rock CFO. You have kind of our website up on the screen. What we've done is we've built a lot of technology that takes a lot of the things that we've been talking about and allows software to do that for you. So rather than hiring me or somebody very very expensive to go look at your business, which might cost tens of thousands of dollars a month, we've built tools and technologies that allow us to give you that service for $3,000 a month. Um, so our goal right now, short to long term, is to continue to grow this business. We launched 6 weeks ago. We already have some paying clients, and we're trying to grow the business. So that's the exciting venture in our lives right now.
Well, good luck to your goals, Mr. Nick, and looking forward for more success. And what will be your piece of advice for those people that don't want to be like you?
Well, I think everyone should be themselves. But look, what I think I'm really good at and enjoy doing is I like doing math. Right, that's my passion. Like that's what I studied in college. That's what I like doing professionally. Um, so my advice for anybody like is not don't necessarily be like me, but find that one thing in the world that you're good at and
Hmm.
enjoy doing. Right, and that's important. You both need to be good at it and enjoy doing it, and then hopefully the combination of those two things is something that somebody will pay you to do.
Well, thank you for that empowering advice, Mr. Nick. And can you please recommend a book or books that influence your journey?
Sure. So I'll give two recommendations. One is fun and one is technical. If you really want to learn how businesses make money and what they're worth, I recommend reading a book called Valuation by Aswath Damodaran. He is a professor at NYU. It's a very thick 300-page book that involves a lot of math, but it's all high school math, no advanced calculus or anything. But it really teaches you what makes good businesses versus bad businesses. Highly recommended for anyone who really wants to understand the truth about business and not just reading fluffy things that are New York Times bestsellers. And then the more fun one is Paradise Lost, the book by John Milton. It's a 300-year-old poem. It is just beautiful to read. I'm about 80 or 90% of the way through it right now, and it is just absolutely one of the most beautiful things I've ever read.
Thank you for that recommended book, Mr. Nick. Thank you so much. So let's talk about the mindset shift from reactive to proactive. Is done right, managing cash flows or cash flow transforms from a source of anxiety into a source of power. What does that shift in mindset feel and look like for an owner? How does it change how they make decisions?
Well, so most owners are probably proactive, right? They built a business, right? If they, unless they bought it or like they inherited it from their parents, if they built a business, they had to be proactive because no one just comes to you and says, let me give you money, right? You have to go out and sell. You have to go build a product. You have to go build a factory. You have to go build a business. So most owners tend to be proactive in thinking about their business overall. They tend to be a little bit more reactive in thinking about the numbers because, as we talked about before, they're busy. They have other things going on that they're focused on. So they end up being reactive to the numbers. And the problem, the reason that kind of, or the that mindset shifts when you realize that the biggest difference between small businesses and the businesses that become medium sized or big businesses is that the medium and big businesses are looking to the future and thinking about how I can get bigger. Not just how do I, remain profitable today or how do I make sure this customer pays.
Mr. Nick, before we wrap up our discussion for today, I'm inviting you to please do listen to my other podcast, people. My other podcast, because my abstract essay is already in sixth season, abstract poetry in third season, and of course, my book 101 review in its sixth season as well. Comedy 101 in third season, and my food 101 in sixth season too. Geography 101, love letters, movie 101 review, music 101, or fifth season. Science 101, Sex 101 in its fourth season, Trivia 101, Law 101, Mental Health 101, Motivation 101, Entrepreneurship 101, and of course, my Bible Verses 101 are my baby podcast. So please listen to them wherever you listen your podcast. So, Mr. Nick, to close with the stake in the ground, what is the single most important message for the small business owners who's been avoiding this because it's scary or confusing?
Find someone that you care, that you trust, who has the skills to look at your business's numbers. That could be your accountant, that could be a lawyer, that could be son, your daughter, it could be somebody like me. It will make a huge difference, especially if that's not your skill set in life. Daniel, you're on mute.
Indeed.
Yeah.
Yes, indeed. So, Mr. Knight, can you please invite our listeners to support your business, your advocacy, or whatever projects that you're doing right now?
Yeah, so come check out our website. It's egorockcfo.com. You have it up on the screen. We'll probably drop it in the show notes. Come check out the website. It's got a lot of good free advice. It shows you how to do the math if you don't have that skill set. And we also have a bunch of free tools on there that are totally free for small businesses.
Definitely, yes. Let's support Mr. Nick because if you support him, for sure, more and more empowering business will rise. I have one more question, Mr. Nick. When is it time to hire a fractional CFO or strategic bookkeeper versus trying to manage this all themselves? What should the key look like for in that person?
Sure, you should have a bookkeeper. Probably, if you're generating $500,000 of revenue, you should have a bookkeeper already. You should probably start hiring a fractional CFO or a data analyst or someone who's thinking about the financial planning and analysis of your business. Probably once you're above about $3 million of revenue, that person will pay for themselves really quickly. If you're, based on how much they will make your business better.
Interesting. So, how about House One Low Cost, our free tool or report that every small business already has access to, likely in the accounting software that they're probably ignoring?
Most accounting software tells you which of your customers are late in paying and which bills you haven't paid. It's typically called an AR or AP aging tool, and almost every accounting system has it. Most business owners don't look at it as much as they should. It's nice to know when your customers are paying or which ones always pay late.
So, Mr. Nick, many owners pay themselves last. How do you build the owner's pay into a healthy cash flow plan as a non-negotiable operating expense, not a leftover?
Well, so both are okay, right? Some owners get whatever's left over, and if that's a lot, that's great, and sometimes that's not a lot. So there's two ways most owners think about their salaries. One is it's a fixed salary, and then everything else goes into the bank for the business. And then the second is I take no salary and I just pay myself whatever's left over. Both are perfectly okay. It just depends on what your personal goals and what your business goals are.
So, how should an owner cash flow strategy and monitoring evolves as they move from solopreneur to having a team of 5, then 10, then 20 employees?
Look, their salary should evolve with whatever they can afford to pay themselves and whatever their lifestyle needs are, right? If the owner only spends $100,000 a year, there's no need to pay themselves $1 million a year. That's just it's just making taxes worse. So as the business grows, an owner should think about compensating himself or herself, whatever they need to be happy. And then everything else they could either save for their children, to give to charity, or to continue to grow their business by reinvesting into it.
Well, very well said, Mr. Nick Jain. Very well said indeed. So can you please thank you again for being my guest on Book 101 Review. And I'm inviting you to be part of my Entrepreneurship 101 and let's talk about business mindset. And again, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
More to come, people. See you soon.